Hi there. So I've been asked today to give some examples of how Outdoor Recreation Northern Ireland has used permissive path agreements to develop access primarily for walking trails across Northern Ireland. So we've done that successfully with Newry and Down District Council and also with Argent North Down District Council as well. In this scenario, though, I'm going to talk about the Cuilcagh Cleenish project, which is a project that we're leading down in County Fermanagh. So I'm going to give you a quick overview again of permissive path agreements. I know Karen touched on it earlier in her presentation, but just to capture some of the key points. I'm going to give you some context into the Cuilcagh Cleenish project, and then give an individual case study then of the Battlefield Trail, the Arnie Community Battlefield Trail, and the Nixon Hall Trail, which are two of the community trails that have progressed to construction stage at the moment. So just to provide you an overview of permissive path agreements, I mean, obviously Carolyn covered this in her presentation earlier, but just to provide a little bit more detail and emphasize some of the key points. As the name suggests, the permissive path agreement is very much agreed with permission of the landowner. So it's a permissive path, it's not a public right of way. It can be used for essentially non-motorized recreation, so walking, cycling, horse riding. In our experience, we've primarily used it for walking, so it'll be interesting in the breakout rooms later to discuss with anybody if they've used it for any of the other forms. It creates linear access. So what I mean by that is it's along a trail as opposed to providing access across an open field or moor or mountain or something like that. But obviously that linear access can turn into a circular walking trail, for example. So I think it's important to say that there is a degree of flexibility, therefore, within the terms, and those are agreed from the outset. So what term does it last for? Is it 10, 21, 25 years? Again, in our experience, that's typically been the upper end of that. That's often stipulated by the external funder, so the external capital funder, who wants to make sure that they're investing and putting money towards something that's going to last for a considerable period. The permissive path agreement does allow, though, for closures at times on the trail, so it could be a couple of days a year, for example, or it could be for a longer period. The couple of days a year would relate to logistical things like, is the farmer cutting silage, or are they doing some hedge trimming or some other operational reason? But it could be a longer period for ecological reasons, for example, to protect a bird nesting site or something like that. I said the agreement is between the council and the landowner. It's agreed from the outset in principle to allow us move forward in trail design, applying for funding, applying for planning permission, etc. But really it's never really enacted until we're getting to a stage where we want to put the trail on the ground. The council typically will take over the liability of the trail to give the landowner confidence in that, and also therefore they'll take over the management and maintenance of the trail as well. So essentially it becomes a council asset through that permissive path agreement. In the scenario in the Cuilcagh Cleenish project, actually the council has entered into a service level agreement with the local community group there, and they'll help the council audit and inspect the trail. And then also carry out some basic maintenance as well. So just to give you a bit of context then on the Cuilcagh Cleenish project, this was one of the 4 Great Place Scheme projects that the Heritage Fund funded in Northern Ireland. And we also received match funding then from Annanoma District Council as well. So the total pot was 300,000 across 3 years. And we have been the lead partner in terms of project management, financial admin, drawing down the funding, etc. But it's very much been a partnership approach in terms of the delivery. So the key partners are the Marble Arch Caves UNESCO Global Geopark, Cuilcagh Community Development Association, and Cleenish Community Development Association. And this is the boundary area here then for Cuilcagh Cleenish. You can see the yellow-orange line there on the map shows the boundary of the area. This is the outskirts of Enniskillen here, so probably by road it's about 7 miles or so southwest of Enniskillen. You'll maybe recognise Marble Arch Caves, Florence Court there with the National Trust, and obviously Cuilcagh Mountain as well, and the Cuilcagh Boardwalk, etc. So whilst there's a lot of jewels in that area in terms of outdoor recreation and green space, actually the number of doorstep opportunities for the community to engage with each other, to engage with their green space and to engage with their heritage was fairly limited. So the project hasn't just been about community trails, it's also had a range of projects to allow the community engage, learn and explore their local built, natural and cultural heritage as well. So the community have led on all this. It's obviously not our specialty area at all. So I'd give a snapshot there of underground concerts in the Marble Arch Caves, an opportunity to explore the Arnie River for the first time by canoe, or a community archaeological dig. Our key role in the project, therefore, has been to deliver on the community trail planning aspect. And I think, as the photograph hopefully demonstrates, that's been about people. And the permissive path agreements really only come in at the end to provide a mechanism to that. So you can see in the top slide there, that's members of the local community gathering in workshops to work with our team and identify areas in the area that they like to explore, they like to walk and they like to engage. So they provided us with a broad range of ideas for us to do further feasibility work on. So we actually undertook feasibility work on about 11 different trails, looking at topography, ground conditions, land use, road safety, a whole range of reasons why a trail may or may not happen. But obviously, one of those key elements is a lot of the areas that people were interested in exploring more were on private land. So the bottom photograph then is our community champions. So if Chris Scott from Belfast landed into a farmer's yard in County Fermanagh to negotiate access with that landowner, I may or probably not have got that far. Whereas these community advocates know these people. They go to church with them, they play sport with them, they have a pint with them in the pub, etc., etc. So really, we worked very closely with those community champions, and they were the ones who negotiated the access in principle. Again, the Permissive Path Agreement was only the mechanism to bring that forward. So this is the Arnie Community Battlefield Trail. So this trail is currently in a pre-start stage, and construction will be starting very, very shortly, which is really exciting, because this will be the first trail that's been brought to reality through the process. So you can see here, this is a 1.8 kilometre trail, and it starts here in a community hub. So this is the community centre, a local school. There's also a childcare facility within there as well. There's a local Gaelic club too, and that's the church you can see there just across the road. So a real community hub which the trail radiates from, and that trail therefore provides access to people's green space, but also to a lovely viewpoint over a key battle site in the area, the Battle of the Ford of the Biscuits. So connecting people to their green space and connecting people to their local heritage as well. But you can see from sort of the background on the map there, the range of landowners involved in making that trail happen. So the orange and green line, orange is where no work's required, and the green line is actually where we're going to build some trail in the area. But you can see there's a community group, there's a primary school, there's a local parish, a whole range of private landowners along the route, and a public landowner as well in terms of NI Water. So that'll produce a 1.8 kilometre trail, and we've received funding from that from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, and also from DAERA's Environment Challenge Fund as well. But you know, none of that would have been possible had it not been for the goodwill of those landowners and the ability for the council to back the project as well and come on board with the permissive path agreements. It's important to say that in this scenario, none of the landowners asked for or at any stage has money changed hands to make this trail happen. They viewed this as an opportunity to give something back to the community and create a great asset for the local community in their area. So in each of those scenarios, a separate permissive path agreement with each individual landowner has been signed and agreed, which allows us to move forward with those funding applications in confidence that we can deliver the trail on the ground. So that has been, that's been fantastic. So that partnership between council, between landowner, and between ourselves coming in to project manage the piece. Another example then is the Nixon Hall Trail, which is again out for a tender for contractors at the moment. So again, we're getting very close to construction stage there. Again, we've received capital funding for that from the DERA TRIPSI fund, and also with match funding there from council too. So this is the community hub that we talked about there a few minutes ago, and the Arnie Battlefield Trail radiates its way through that area. So across the road then is an opportunity for people to engage with a couple of other bits of built heritage in their area. So Nixon Hall, which is an old domain they can engage with, and then also the trail journeys round to Mulnaman Hill. And in layman's terms, that is where the ladies climbed up that hill to view the Battle of the Fort of the Biscuits, which I mentioned earlier. So again, that provides another great community asset in the area. One landowner there, which is quite rare actually for a trail that long, and one permissive path agreement again between the council and between the landowner. But fundamentally, the access was negotiated by the community with a little bit of guidance from ourselves. This is an example here of a permissive path agreement. As you can see, it's 2 pages long. It's not an extensive legal document. Typically, when we provide these, the council drafts these and we provide these to the landowners, typically they do take some legal advice through their solicitor, and feedback from that process has been very minimal. As I said earlier, a lot of the discussion comes around the term, the process for closures. Are there any other terms that the landowner wants to put in? So that becomes a very common sense based, in my perspective, negotiation. As I said, the partners are the council and the private landowner. The term in this scenario is 25 years, and thereafter year on year, with a break period of 6 months. As I said, the councils will manage, maintain, ensure, and inform the visitors of the conditions of access. So we make it very clear to visitors that the access to this trail has been provided through permission with the local landowner. And as I said, that landowner has permission within that permissive path agreement to close the trail, I think in different scenarios for 1 or 2 days. So in summary, the key takeaways from permissive path agreements are fundamentally it's a mechanism, but behind all that, relationships are absolutely key. So in this scenario, it's been a relationship between the community, the landowner, the council, and ourselves. It's very much about permissive access. It's not asserted access. There is a degree of flexibility in approach. And really at the end, that gives everyone assurance. So the funder, the council, the landowner, the local community, and most importantly at the end, really, I suppose, the visitor, that they're going to get a high quality outdoor recreation experience, a high quality opportunity to engage with natural or built heritage in the area. So I hope that was useful. I look forward to further conversation in the breakout rooms slightly later on. Thanks.